My friends and I were out camping in Maryland near a river. We set up a whole weekend where we would go tubing, which meant we would get in these giant inflatable tires and float down the river. We got there on Friday, went tubing on Saturday, and left on Sunday. It was me, my girlfriend, her best friend, and her boyfriend. The four of us were supposed to have a great weekend together, that instead turned into a nightmare that will keep me away from the woods forever. I'm pretty sure that I had an encounter with the Goatman. We arrived on Friday with no fuss. We set up our tents at the designated campground and made dinner. There were no other campers around us since school had started up again, so we had the area to ourselves. We drank all night, the other three drinking more than me because I'm not a fan of the hard stuff, just a few beers. It was late at night, probably around midnight, when I had to pee, so I left the campsite and walked down the path a little bit into the woods. Once I found a good spot, I unzipped my pants and began to relieve myself when I looked around, and faintly in the moonlight, I could see a figure moving in between the trees. The moon was about half full, so there wasn't much light to make out features. The leaves and sticks crunched underneath it as it walked. Just as I was finishing up, this thing started to make this weird noise. It sounded like muffled goat sound, but not quite right. Like a person was imitating a goat. It kept walking around like it was looking for something, but whatever it was scared the hell out of me, so I ran back to the campsite and acted like it didn't happen. My friends were so drunk, I don't know how they would have reacted. The next morning, I woke up before everyone else, so I made breakfast. And around noon, we drove up the river about 3 miles using the camp's van service that would drop us off, and we would tube down the river back to our campsite. I had pretty much forgotten about the weird encounter from the previous night until I had a weird feeling of being watched while floating down the river. It was all woods on both sides of the river, so I couldn't really confirm my feeling, but it ruined my whole experience. It creeped the hell out of me. My friends started to feel it too when I told them. The other boyfriend claims he saw someone on the riverbank, but no one else saw it. Once we got back to camp, I told them what I saw Friday night and really creeped them out. That's when the boyfriend said, "Dude, I saw the same thing today on the river. It was like some crackhead-looking thing with long arms staring at us funny." We were all scared and decided that we'd leave first thing in the morning for checkout when the park rangers returned. After a while, we began drinking again and pretty much forgot about our fears and for a moment had fun again. It wasn't until later that night that my fear returned. We were all pretty drunk at this point, and we were doing that thing when you're drunk. You kind of have those heart-to-hearts with each other and talk about life. That kind of conversation, you know? We started to hear those noises again. It started off in the distance at first, then got closer and closer to our campsite. We heard noises all around us, just twigs breaking, scratching on trees, and more of those goat noises mixed with a man growling. None of us had a weapon, so we were pretty scared and huddled close to each other. The scariest part was that the bugs stopped making noises. Eventually, we all drank some more and fell asleep around the campfire. I woke up in the middle of the night, probably because I sensed something was wrong. I don't know what it was, probably sleep paralysis or something, but I couldn't move and couldn't speak. I opened my eyes and saw this terrifying thing in between all of us. It had the body of a skinny man with a distorted face and long, unnatural arms. I saw that it was pacing back and forth, would stop and look at my girlfriend, and arch its back and act like it was chuckling. It kept twitching its body and sniffing the air around everyone. The goat man finally came over to me and looked me in the eyes. It had these dark, pitted eyes, and its mouth was covered in drool. He got close to me and opened its mouth, making that noise into my face. The noise must have woken the boyfriend, and he started to scream. which scared the creature, and he ran off on all fours back into the woods. I was finally able to move, and I crawled over to my girlfriend and held her the rest of the night. First thing in the morning, we packed our stuff and checked out of the main lodge. We will never go back to those woods in Maryland again. There is something living out there, guys. And I'm telling you this story because I don't want anything to happen to you.